We gather this hour.
We gather this hour.
We gather this hour
We gather this hour as people of faith.
As people of faith.
As people of faith.
As people of faith.
With joys and sorrows.
With joys and sorrows.
With joys and sorrows.
Gifts and needs.
Gifts and needs.
Gifts and needs.
We light this beacon of hope.
We light this beacon of hope.
We light this beacon of hope.
Sign of our quest for truth and meaning.
Sign of our quest for truth and meaning.
In celebration.
In celebration.
In celebration.
Of the life we share together.
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 We share together.
we share together.
We share together.
Yes.
So recently, friends, I've been contemplating the mission of this church, which is, as many of you know, to be a community that invites you to awaken to love. And I'm aware that this is a mission statement, a mission that is maybe less straightforward than some of the other mission statements you may have heard or experienced before. And I've even heard from some of you that while the statement sounds good, kind of poetic and beautiful, yeah, we really don't know what it means. And truly, though, I think that actually makes an excellent mission, just ambiguous enough to invite reflection and engagement. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time today reflecting on the idea of love, this thing we are inviting the awakening to. And I wanted to do so through a bit of the writing of Father Richard Rohr. If you're not familiar with Richard Rohr, he is a Christian contemplative whose writings I often turn to. He actually sends out every morning there's a little reflection that he sends out. And I find it really interesting for me as a religious humanist to find such resonance in this Christian priest's writings, given his deep Christian and Trinitarian faith. But I find in Father Rohr's words an expansiveness that invites engagement rather than an exclusiveness that maintains separation. So, okay, love. I want to talk about this idea, love, because it's really hard to define, right? It's hard to point to what this is. Is it just a feeling? Is love just just this feeling we have? Is it a thing? Is there actually a thing about it? Or maybe it's just hormones coursing through our bodies, simple electrochemical reactions. I don't know. In writing about love, Richard Rohr offers a definition that resonated with me. He says, love is an attraction of all things toward all things, an attraction of all things toward all things. Goes on to say it's an underlying energy that keeps showing itself despite our best efforts to resist it. Now, I'm going to guess here that most everyone has experienced this attraction to something and called it love. And of course, we note that this sense of love is not simply about human to human attraction. One could love a sport or a pet or the great outdoors or a good book. Richard Rohr writes, love grounds us by creating focus, direction, motivation, even joy. And yet, I would also say most of us have felt the coldness that comes when the object of our love resists us. I actually think it's all of us have felt that coldness, but since I can't actually prove the absolute of all, I'm just going to stick with most of us. But I think everyone has probably felt the coldness that comes when the object of our love, whatever that object is, resists our attraction. Most of us have felt that coldness, particularly when our love's object is another human being and our love's attraction is resisted. We feel that ache of emptiness when that energy does not flow back to us. And I think more subtly, if we are truly attentive, we can sense that same emptiness, that same coldness when it is ourselves resisting love. It's a much deeper challenge, of course. So for myself, I give as an example, I can sense it when I find myself unable or not ready to forgive someone. So there's times when I stew in my righteousness or my pain or my obstinance. Those are the times I'm resisting love, and I may think I'm really right about it, but I also feel what Rohr calls that coldness of resistance. But here's the thing, even in my resistance, I am practicing. I am practicing what it means to love and be loved. I am practicing the love that Rohr refers to as that flow of energy willingly allowed and exchanged. The question might arise, though, what is the source of that love? What is the locus of this energy that flows or can be resisted? Is this energetic source bounded by rules and doctrine, or is it boundless, an overwhelming wellspring flowing forth into our lives? I suggest that this energetic flow of love is actually the ground of our being. It's the thing that interconnects us one to another, the part to the whole, the atom to the universe. And what our mission here at Mill Creek is calling us to do is to awaken to that energy flow, to be an individual in a vast network of flow and resistance, and to maybe practice a little bit more flow and a little bit less resistance. But today, too, I'm wondering why we would resist the flow of love. And Richard Rohr writes that the largeness of the object of our love will eventually determine the largeness of the love. And I think that's what terrifies us. At least it does me. If the universe, all of it, all things, all people, all planets, all atoms is to be the object of my love, then I must also be the receiver of the enormity of that same energy. And I tell you, friends, I have a hard time imagining myself being that receptor. I know what it's like to experience the human love to the point of sacrifice and forgiveness and generosity. And I know how that human love shifts who I know myself to be, how it transforms my life. So if we are to expand that sense of love outward to all things and to receive that love from all things, the enormity of what that feels like feels a lot like annihilation, the erasure of who we know ourselves to be. Our Buddhist teacher, Pema Chodron, writes, only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible be found in us. I'll say that again. Only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible be found in us. Chodron is inviting us to stay with that shakiness, to stay with that broken heart, that rumbling stomach, that feeling of hopelessness and wanting to get revenge. Because in fact, that's a path to the true awakening. It's sticking with that uncertainty, getting the knack of relaxing into chaos, learning not to panic. That's the spiritual path she's teaching us about. And I want to remind you that this path, this spiritual path, your journey, it's not about a destination. Living on the path is not about getting somewhere. It's about cultivating the possibility of hope and justice and compassion and peace. It's about awakening to love. And I believe it is this love that is the indestructible within us. And perhaps the only way to find that indestructible love in us is to expose ourselves over and over to that annihilation, to sit, stand, run, fly, rest, breathe into this very moment, and to allow it to annihilate us again and again. Let it shred the me of the past and the I of the future. I think this is what all our confusions, our uncertainties, our fears, particularly at this moment, our anxieties. I think this is what they have to teach us. Those are our resistances to love, right? Confusion, uncertainty, fear, anxiety. These are symptoms of our resistance. And I think it has to teach us that we are indeed alive with love for this moment. And that's all we have. And truly, it's all we need. Pema Chodron teaches us, quote, the spiritual journey involves going beyond hope and fear, stepping into unknown territory, continually moving forward. The most important aspect of being on the spiritual path may be just keep moving. Our journey is to awaken to love, to become ever more aware and intentional to the places where love flows easily and where it is resisted in our lives and in the lives of others. And we are awakened to this energetic flow of love. It is our mission to invite others to share in it, to risk annihilating ourselves over and over until we all experience that transcendent, indestructible love that binds us one to another, the part to the whole, the atom to the universe. Amen, my friends. And I do love you. And may we live in blessing.